There's a war crimes prosecutor with a grand jury open for Donald Trump and his cronies as we speak. There's a grand jury open for Donald Trump's cronies, Georgia there as we speak, where Mike Flynn had to testify today. There's that dude who wrote the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida who just got hit with federal fraud charges. Would you like to see your least favorite people in the world get hit with federal charges and track their progress all the way to doom? Well, I'm going to show you one of my tricks that I've been using on Twitter in my threads for a long time, the PACER database, where you pull down the actual pleadings, see what the court's actual activity is. It's easy, it's dorky. Join us today.
Guys, it's time for some game theory.
Welcome back to Game Theory Today. I'm Eric Garland, and boy, is this one gonna be nerdy. By popular demand, due to my looking at the PACER database and the sheer number of search warrants and sealed cases in the St. Louis area, I decided it was finally time to start explaining exactly what people are seeing, because I get a lot of questions about that. And it occurred to me, hey, I can teach anyone how to use this very simple federal database, PACER, which stands for Public Access to Court Electronic Records, and it will let you see things like when a case has been filed, the progress of that case, when pleadings are made, motions are made, what the judge says, all the way up to, in criminal cases, guilty, not guilty, or siding with the plaintiff or defendant in a civil case. But it will also let you see just how much criminal investigative activity may be in your region from the feds and how many cases are being sealed up in grand juries. This one's super nerdy, and there's not much I can say without like just going through with a screen recording, like this is some video game channel, and just going through how the website works. It sort of goes like this. If you want to play along at home, you can start an account. You, a citizen, you don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to be a judge. You can start an account. You're going to have to give a credit card, and it's going to be about 10 cents a page. Now, I have a consulting firm that looks at prosecutions, cryptocurrency and treason and things like that. So it's a business expense for me. It might be an expensive hobby for you, but it's oh so satisfying to see a news story that somebody's in trouble and go pull down the details, and there's a whole lot that you can learn in there, often well beyond what the news stories are. And I have to say, from an emotional standpoint, for me, it's very interesting to be able to, not just interesting, it's satisfying to be able to go and see, okay, you know, after the 4 long years of Donald Trump, the feds are awake. There's a guy whose name rhymes with mine, no relation, Merrick Garland, but a whole team under him, lots of U.S. attorneys, assistant U.S. attorneys, just leadership at the top in Washington, the FBI doing the investigations, DHS, DEA, all the federal apparatus that are not acting the same as some of the corrupt state organizations that would take the same roles, unfortunately. But as such, you know, getting to watch the federal cases roll in, and in some regards, watching the game more and more serious as you learn about what the different statutes that get charged criminally mean, you get to see that, wow, these guys are toughening up, and you can see policy, you can see how America's gonna get fixed through this very, very nerdy tool. So a couple things off the bat. I just want to show you some a couple of screen caps here that are what I have tweeted out, mostly from Missouri, usually Eastern District, which is St. Louis, or Western District, which is Kansas City, sort of to tell people what's going on. And there's a couple of things I find most interesting, because really the cases haven't really gotten started for some of the major Jan 6 stuff, some of the major organized crime, child abuse, all these terrible things. They really haven't even started rolling yet. So I monitor these things that show up in the PACER database, and the 2 things I look for links to what's known as suppressed v. suppressed, and something that has no links, sealed v. sealed. Now, these mean 2 very different, very ominous things. Suppressed v. suppressed is the way a magistrate judge will enter the request and the granting of a federal search warrant by an appropriate federal agency to go search something or seize something after an affidavit has been filed with the court when an agency that has the legal remit to investigate crimes believes that there is evidence at a certain location, and that can be a warehouse, that can be a database, your Gmail account, the contents of your cell phone, it can be any of those things, but they have reason to believe that there is evidence of a crime in that place, and one of their last investigative steps is they ask to go get it. And that can be a pre-dawn raid with a bunch of trucks, and that can be, them going into your iCloud account. And that is marked as suppressed v. suppressed, as in none of your business. So that's the first part. And I often show those. And in St. Louis, for example, watching the trends is very interesting. We've gone from relatively few per week to dozens per week, which means they're investigating all over the place. Do we know who it is? We absolutely do not. And I want to caution against everybody who, when they hear Missouri, they go, Josh Hawley. I would love for Josh Hawley to go to prison. And I got to tell you, I may not be that different from you in several regards, but I have no idea if it's him, and I never speculate. Very often, it's stuff you didn't even guess was out there, or it's one of the innumerable COVID fraud, criminal cases, drugs, guns, fentanyl, lots and lots of child sex abuse media, because that is easily trackable. They are coming down like a ton of bricks on those folks. So you never know who to attribute this to. But if you see suppressed v. suppressed, then you are looking at a federal search warrant. Now there's this other much quieter, more ominous list, sealed v. sealed. That indicates that a grand jury has been convened and or a case has been filed. The charges have been filed. I don't believe it always has to be a grand jury, but it means somebody's decided to bring charges against an individual. They've decided what the crimes are. They've gathered the evidence. They're ready to go to trial. Why are the cases sealed, though? Very often, crimes involve more than one person, or as you investigate one crime, you discover evidence of others, or other participants in those same crimes. And in any event, you may have already decided to bring charges against an individual or a group of individuals, but you do not want to tip the public or the perpetrators off to that they're in trouble, because grand juries happen in secret. And when they file charges, it's in secret. However, in PACER, you'll see sealed v. sealed. And just like the federal search warrants, here in the arch city of St. Louis, just for one example, there's been an increasing number of sealed v. sealed cases. So there's grand juries, open every week here that are, I guess, pretty convinced that they've found evidence of a crime. It doesn't mean they're guilty. Everyone still gets due process. You got to remember that the feds have a 98% rate of having guilty pleas entered. 2% go to trial. So the vast majority do end up with somebody admitting that that's the crime they did. But that doesn't mean when it's filed that they're guilty. They are innocent until proven guilty. And overall, the trends between East and West, just in the state of Missouri, and this applies all over the United States, there are different trends in different districts. I'll tell you, the last 6 to 12 months, watching the Eastern District of Missouri, which is around the St. Louis area, Western District, around Kansas City, that there's a ton more search warrants out of St. Louis and way more sealed cases out of Western Missouri. What could they be? Could they be public corruption in Kansas City over in the Western District? Could it be the Agape School people, or the apparently all too numerous number of child traffickers in that part of the world? Sure, but it could also, be mail fraud. It could be tax fraud. It could be a whole bunch of things. There's a lot of investigation going out in St. Louis. Do we know if it's January 6th stuff, political corruption, or just fentanyl? We're not sure. You have to stay tuned. But how can you go into this database? What can you pull down? What are you looking at? I'm here to show you that. It's going to get nerdy. You guys asked for it by popular demand, and I'm always ready to dork it out. So let me show you.
And we are off. All right, kids. I promised she was going to get dorky. Here we are trying to try to control yourself. You can go to pacer.gov, and as I said, public access to court electronic records. Ooh. And I'm logged in as Eric Garland, and it's going to ask me, what do I want to do? Where would I like to go? Now, let's say we're going to go check out something you guys have seen me do any number of times, or rather, you've seen the output of what this is any number of times. So I'm going to go to the drop-down menu here, and you got a few things. You got PACER Case Locator that will allow you to look for any party anywhere, not necessarily in any district. It'll give you everybody by a certain name. With common names, you'll get a lot of people who have different roles. They're not all going to be defendants. They're not all going to be plaintiffs. Some of them are attorneys and otherwise. So that's a good general tool. But when you go down, you're going to see all these different federal courts here. So you have the U.S. appellate courts here. You know, the First Circuit, Second Circuit, Fifth Circuit's Texas, I believe. The 11th, where Trump just lost the thing where he was trying to get the special master. That's Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. That's some more advanced stuff, and you know, I guess it's no less interesting, but it's usually you're appealing the decision of a lower court. It's pretty dorky stuff. This is not the rah-rah, let's see who got pinched and how they're doing. You know, that's more creation of precedent and case law. I was on it a lot during the Mike Flynn days when everyone was trying, if you don't stay logged in, they try and get you out. I'm still in. Gotta go figure out where to go again. Anyways, a Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, when all those jabonis were trying to get Mike Flynn to not plead not guilty himself, that's where a lot of the action happened, and all sorts of weird things, like a bunch of, you know, attorneys general tried to protect him, and, you know, one of the attorneys who, like, defended Ferguson, Missouri was trying to protect Mike Flynn. All sorts of weird stuff. Then you get to the U.S. district courts. Some have multiple districts. Like Vermont just has one, but Alabama, you have middle, northern, and southern. Alaska's got one, and it's obviously set up not on geographical size, or Alaska would have more than one, but the number of people that you have in your state, which kind of makes sense. There's probably an even distribution of certain kinds of cases. So, you know, Arizona has one, Arkansas's got two. California's got a whole bunch. Central District Court is for Los Angeles. Eastern District is for Fresno area. Northern District is San Francisco, and Southern District is San Diego. And you can see there's you know, exotic ones like Guam. You know, I'm actually just going to click on Guam because I've never done Guam. Let's see what's going on in Guam. I'm stuck in Missouri, you know, courts most of the time. I just forget these things. This happens sometimes. It doesn't click over there, so I'm going to refresh the page. Logged in as Eric Garland, same thing. So now I don't want to go. Now I know where I want to go. I want to see what's up in Guam District Court. So I hit submit. And beware out there, you're going to have to, like, give a credit card or whatnot. And it's going to be about 10 days. 10 pages. Sorry. It's going to be about 10 cents a page here. And I'm trying, it's not letting me scroll down here, but there's a button here for court information. And you've got reports and query. And let me see if I can drag this over a touch. There we go. Got a better look here. Query, if I go in here, I can type in the name, first and last, business names too as well, and find somebody specifically, or I can go for the reports and just see what's up this week. So I'm going to go check what the criminal cases in Guam were. Boom. Warning, this is not subject to the 30-page billing cap. Any document you download, anything over 30 pages, your charge is no more than $3. So 150-page document is $3. 31-page document is $3. 24-page documents, $2.40. It's that kind of thing. So this is strange. The the date is set up sort of weird. I'm not sure why. I don't normally have to do this manually, but nothing can be filed in 1072. There's no sci-fi in this, but this is going to give us everything that was filed in the criminal division here in Guam for a week. And let's see what we run into. So, boop. Well, they're being pretty stealthy about this. Apparently, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sealed versus sealed cases. We do not know, who that is or what that is. Guam's a very small place, but it still is part of the U.S. Federal court system. So that's interesting. I'm going to back this up in terms of date. So you have all these case types and case flags. I tend not to get into those too much. If that was 1 week, let's kick this up to the month of November. So we're going to be asking for everything that was filed. By the way, that doesn't mean progress on something. That means filed. This is something new. If you have a specific case, it can be updated, and it's not going to come into these reports. But this is going to be the cases that were filed, and the way I've got this is November 1st, 2022 to December 9th, 2022. So a little over a month. Let's see what they're up to over in Guam. It is looking like sealed v. sealed. There's a lot of quiet stuff happening in Guam. Okay, so Guam is a bit of a mystery here. And this costs 10 cents to get. So we're gonna back out a little bit here, and let's see. I can either click through it, or I can go back to pacer.gov. It depends. I'm sort of going straight back out. We're now at the front door of the Guam system, and here we are. Please choose a court. Well, let's go check out. My old favorites. I already did this today in my thread, but let's check it out anyhow. We're going to go to Missouri Eastern District Court. Going to hit submit there. Oh, and the reason I have the font really small is there's so much stuff going on here. I usually have to back it all the way up and get as much of a zoom out as possible because there's so much. So I'm going to zoom in here so everyone can see it. Once again, we have query reports. So here, this is how I pulled this down today. Criminal reports, criminal cases. Missouri has a lot different than just the guys in Guam. So this is a week. This is December 1st through December 8th. Now, remember, we had a couple days of weekend in there. So this is really, 4 or 5 days of the court. And I'm going to hit run. And you see we've got specific notes here about everything that's going on. So this is Criminal Cases Report, again, the Eastern District of Missouri. And here we have a case number and title. These are cases that are unsealed. Either they were never sealed and they were just they weren't sealed. The feds just brought the charges and went at them. Or they were originally sealed and now they're unsealed for the first time, and you can see exactly who's who. So we've got USA v. Wheeler out of the Cape Girardeau office, and the judge there presiding is Stephen N. Limbaugh, Jr. Yes, that Limbaugh family, the deceased Rush, I believe they're cousins or something like that. And Abby Kreitz-Leone is, I forget which one is... magistrate, which handled a lot of the administrative aspects of the case, and then there's the district judge who would handle an eventual trial. So that's the Cape Girardeau office. There's also the St. Louis office in the Eastern District. So here we have Lorenzo, USA. It's almost always the United States of America. Bringing the case here on the criminal side, or I should say, it always is. This is the federal district court that is representing the Department of Justice. And I just want to say, this person is innocent until proven guilty. They were charged a couple days ago, so this was added Tuesday out of the Cape Girardeau office. There are no facts here. there's just going to be some allegations on the government, and they're going to, by the government, I should say. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to tell me a little bit more about the case. As the case goes on, you can, up in this area, you can put in which dates when something was filed. Some of these cases can take 1-2 years, and you may not want to pay the full bill for everything on the docket or everything that's been filed that you've already seen. So we could just put in the same sort of dates there. And I'm going to do that by hand here since this is a tutorial. So I'm going to go to December 1st, 2022, to one day after today, to 12/9. So make sure we don't miss anything there. So that's anything filed in the last 8 days. And it says it was filed on the 6th. I believe that is going to be our key date there. And we're going to run the report on this case. Alrighty, so this is Eastern District of Missouri District Court, Cape Girardeau, and we have a case assigned to District Judge Stephen N. Limbaugh. Defendant number 1 here is Lorenzo R. Wheeler. Pending counts: failure to register as a sex offender. Okay, not great, but not proven either. Up here you've got who is defending this particular defendant right now, who's entered his appearance as their attorney. Well, this guy's got a federal public defender. We have a public defender system. If you can't afford defense, or if it's the early part of a case, a federal public defender can be assigned to you. Later on, you can see what law firms entered appearance, and that can glean some information as well. The plaintiff is you and me, if you're here in the States, the United States of America, represented by John Nicholas Kester Jr., out of the Cape Girardeau office, who is an assistant U.S. attorney. Those are the people that bring the cases. So, all right, here we go. And these are the kinds of things that you can get out of PACER. So, we've got two of the first documents here. You've got indictment returned in open court on the 6th of December. By the foreperson of the grand jury. So a grand jury was convened by the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the grand jurors there heard some evidence, and they decided that the U.S. government could bring the case. There's some other stuff like a motion for pretrial detention and hearing, like figuring out what we're going to do with this individual on, while they're awaiting trial. The rule is to go for the least restrictive means. But let's pull down a document here. So you got indictment, but then you have a redacted indictment. Well, I'll tell you, if there's a redacted indictment, I believe that means that this one should say none of your business. Let me click on it. Boom, none of your business. You do not have permission to view this document. So one of the indictments, the unredacted indictment is still sealed. So it's not cleared for release to the public. And this is going to give us access to the redacted indictment, and that is 20 cents here. So it's 2 pages, so it's pretty short here. It means there's probably not going to be a lot of facts alleged. And here we have the real document. You see it's all captioned up at the top here. The date of filing, it says. And this is charging for 18 U.S. Code 2250A indictment. The grand jury charges that on or about August 1st, November 28th, 2022, in New Madrid County and elsewhere, this guy, who was required to register under the Sex Offender Notification Act, due to possession of child pornography, did knowingly fail to register and update the register. Okay, so he forgot to, or he failed to register as a child molester. Okay, so these are pretty simple types of cases. You either did or you didn't. A lot of the child sex abuse media ones are real open and shut. I can click around and I can save this document. It'll depend on the browser you're using. I'm not going to keep this one. I have a big file with a bunch of them, but I'm not going to keep them. This one is not very interesting, so I'm going to back out here. Are you going to want to send a form again? Sure, no problem. It's not going to cost me anything. Okay, so I'm going down. Oh. Case filed. USB suppressed is. the USB suppressed ones here, these are your federal search warrants. And the MJ stands for a magistrate judge. So this is out of St. Louis. It was filed on the 2nd of December. Let me click on it. Document sheet, U.S. versus suppressed. It should tell me. Let's see. So it's been given. Let's go click around here. Boop, boop, boop. There's an application and affidavit for search warrant, and I'm going to click on it. And you do not have permission to view this document, dude. So, you know, there's no penalty for clicking on these. I think if you click every day on them, they'll probably get kind of cranky with you. But there you have an affidavit for a search warrant. We don't know what case. So that's your U.S. v. suppressed. There's a few more people whose cases have been filed here. And a bunch of suppressed v. suppresses. Oh, now we're down in the sealed v. sealeds. There we go. Sealed v. sealed. So this is, oh, they put some in probably since this morning. So that means the grand juries are kicking here this past week. There's a lot of different cases, and there's a lot of different, there are a lot of different search warrants going out. And let me back out and go to someplace like, well, let's take a really big district like California Northern District Court. Some of these have slightly different entry pages. And I'm going to click on court information. And you'll see there's a uniform thing with a query and reports here. So let's go to criminal cases. You kind of know the drill. There's different offices here: Eureka, Monterey, Oakland, San Francisco. This is 1 week, 1st of December through the 8th. Click Run Report. Oh, there's some unsealed applications. So application for a search warrant for one parcel for investigation of 21. So 21 U.S. code is usually drug distribution. Those are not, that's, what it's about is not sealed. You know, I'm even going to learn something here because Northern District of California handles these a little different. This is a request from a magistrate judge. And I'm going to see, I'm going to back up here. Sealed document applications, motion to seal. So they're a little more open, and this happens. There are local rules for these different districts in federal court. So they'll tell you what the application is for and why they're looking at it, but I'm not going to bother here because if I click sealed, it's going to say none of your business, dude. And it's not, because if we tipped off the people they're searching, they might hide the evidence, they might intimidate witnesses, all that kind of thing. So, San Francisco presider, the Honorable Edward M. Chen. Charles Chester Chapman III. That's an interesting name. Let us find out what's going on there. And once again, we have no idea about anybody's relative guilt because everybody is innocent until proven guilty in the United States. So, we're going to see what the feds had to say. And this is a classic one. 18 U.S. Code 922. Felon in possession of a firearm, indictment as to challenge chapter, motion for sealing order. So they sealed it. So this is going to be the guy probably, you know, felon in possession of a firearm. This guy has a prior record. They found him with a gun. You know, he's innocent until proven guilty, but those are usually pretty open and shut. You either did or you didn't. And the only other function, I think, for today would maybe be the query. So I'm going to go back to my friends here in Missouri. I wonder how it's going in the old Lewis Reed. These are the aldermen that got indicted. I'm going to go to query. Sorry, not just indicted, but convicted, and they just got sentenced to a bunch of prison. So let's go to our friend. Last name would be Collins Muhammad. So you can put in somebody's name. put in first name as well, even though there's only one Collins Muhammad in the Eastern District. And it's going to come up. Boop. These are the guys, the top 3 aldermen in the city of St. Louis who were taking bribes from a drug dealer. So very interesting case around here. Last filing was a couple of days ago on the same day of their sentencing hearing. So docket report, run the whole thing, and can see who represents our friend there. Pending counts: theft, bribery concerning programs receiving federal funds. There's going to be a lot of that, people. Racketeering bribery, because it's St. Louis, and wire fraud. And he pleaded, and his co-defendants here, Lewis Reed, president of the Board of Aldermen, Lewis Reed pleaded out to racketeering, just got 3 years, 9 months the other day. And this is the progress of that case over time, and eventually they agreed to cooperate. Oh, here's something that's real neat here. You'll see them change up here on when there's going to be a change of plea hearing. Here we go. So in August, the court will hold, as to John Collins Muhammad, the court will hold a change of plea hearing. Once they schedule one of those, the defendant has agreed to plead guilty, 98% due. There's a guilty plea agreement, but this one's very interesting. There's an agreement supplement. These are almost always sealed up because they are about what that defendant is going to talk about to the government in order to get some time off their sentence. And it's still sealed up because whoever he would have or maybe didn't testify about, because they all got a little more prison than we all thought, it still needs to stay all sealed up. And then at the end, you can get things like sentencing letters, people saying you're a good guy or you're not that good a guy or whatnot. And this was kind of a lengthy case, and it just finished up, and you see the minute entries from the judges. And that's pretty much it. That goes in all the districts. It goes in yours. All you need to do is sign up for an account. Any citizen can do it. Give them a credit card and prepare to pay 10 cents a page and possibly become really obsessed with this thing. All right, that was our journey into the nerdy heart of darkness, into the PACER database. You can start an account. You don't have to be an attorney or a judge. You can start an account, give them your name, give them your credit card, because it's going to be 10 cents a page. But it tends to be pretty satisfying, and you can have a look at due process in this country. And as we get ready for what I think is going to be a pretty historic number of criminal prosecutions for some pretty bad actions, that whole try and, overthrow democracy thing, is kind of bad. As we get ready to prosecute that, I think it's important to remember that one of the things that those despots wanted to take away from us by knocking America's democracy over was our right to due process, where they get to make all the rules and decide when we're guilty and when they're innocent. And that is what we've fought at least 2 wars for, is due process. The 4th and 5th Amendment are particularly important and on display in the PACER database. 4th includes things like the right to be held free from unreasonable search and seizure by a government. Government can't just go into your things unless they put in one of those USB suppressed entries into PACER when they're getting ready to do a crime. Not a crime, but when they're getting ready to prove a crime, I should say. And the 5th Amendment, all the different steps of bringing a case against you, those were things that the King of England didn't allow. We fought a war over it. The 14th Amendment was after the Civil War, when the states of the South, they're like, yeah, due process, but that's for us and not black people. And then that's why we created the Department of Justice, is like, well, let us take it from here. But, the fight goes on, and there were people that didn't want us to have due process, still don't. So I think it's important, as some of those folks go to jail, that they get due process, all the due process. And, every fair part of our system. And if the facts lead in a certain direction and they are, in violation of certain statutes of the United States, and they want to go all the way to trial, and a jury of their peers listens to evidence presented in these courts, and they go, yep, that sounds about like what the prosecutor told me. I'm going to say you're guilty once I get in that jury deliberation room. Or they say, the state didn't make its case. You look bad, on Twitter. I saw a bunch of snarky things about you in my favorite blogs, but now that I see the evidence, they've given me the jury instructions, I'm not sure that you should pay this kind of price. That is what America's about. And that kind of due process is on display for you as a citizen on PACER. So right now, if you enjoyed this, if you learned a lot, hit subscribe. There's a lot more to come. We're probably going to do the FARA database. How do you look up foreign agents? That's on the way. I got more dorkery to show. So click subscribe, click like, and, ask some questions. What else do you think the thing can do? Have you found a cool case that you want to share with the class? Put it in the comments section. You guys make it fun. This is Eric Garland, Game Theory Today. I'll see you later.